And it's time. I do a little dance in the beginning because it makes me feel good. That's a chair dance. I'm better at that than actual standing dancing. This is
The
very
Haveman
true.
trait. Haveman trait. We're
Yes.
always better at chair dancing.
Oh man, I don't know. Get that out. Don't picture that. Don't picture that. Okay, I'll stop. All right. Hey, everybody. We're back for Friday edition of Brews and Bros. 9:00, top of the hour. Top of the hour to you. We got some wonderful guests on tonight. We got Ben. We might see him. We might not. We're not sure. Connection is still weird. Minnesota's got some weird thing. That southern Minnesota. I'm sorry. Apparently, the northern part is fine, and the central part and all that. However, we want to welcome you to the program. Welcome you to the chat. Tell us about your beverage of choice tonight, or multiple beverages, whatever you're doing. We have some things to get into. I did a whole bunch of research, so we're definitely getting into some of this stuff, and it's kind of silly and kind of goofy and should be fun. And for Mo, it'll be painful at least a little bit, which will also be fun for us. And then Browner pointed out, who's with us tonight, Browner pointed out last week that Matt LaFleur is a liar. And we will call him out on some of his lies from last week that I didn't even know he said in a Wilde and Tausch radio interview. But we have some really important recent stuff to talk about too. So we know what's happening in the world. We know I'm stepping out here for Hafman Brothers. Racism is bad. It's wrong. It's not okay. Treating people differently because they look different than you, not okay. I'm just going to say that off the top. If that makes you leave, then maybe you don't want to hang with us anyway. But if you don't want to hear any of this, chime out for like 5 minutes and come back.
No, they can stay away.
Yeah, that's true. So this is really serious stuff. We're not going to dwell on it. We're going to move past it after a little bit, but we got a couple of things to get to here. One is we have a special guest tonight, one of our friends, Browner, and he brings a really unique perspective to this situation. And he was willing to tell us a little bit about it. So Brown, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can give us a little bit about your experience in your life with your adopted kids.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be on here and great to be with you guys again. It's been an interesting week. It's been interesting to process, and it's been something we've processed for some time. But I'm a white dude that grew up with white privilege for sure in a small town in central Wisconsin. Didn't have many people of minority there. Didn't have to worry about doing a lot of things or going a lot of places. And then fast forward 20 some years, and my wife Hannah and I wanted to start a family. We're unable to due to some medical things, and so decided to look the route of adoption. And at the time, the church we were going to had just started an orphanage in Ethiopia, and we were good friends with the couple that was doing that. And so we adopted our son 10 years ago. Actually met him for the first time 10 years ago this week.
Wow.
And adopted Elijah from Ethiopia. And then 5 years later, we adopted Jonas Tong from China. So as two white Caucasian adults, we have two minority kids. And obviously the one in the news this week is the stuff with the Black Lives Matter and the racism towards that race over a long span of history. And so it's been really interesting for me to process. I mean, the emotions this week have ranged from anger to major sadness to anxiety for Elijah's future. But also one of hope with a lot of the things that we see. We tend to, in these media rich times, to focus a lot on the negative and the anxiety that can come with it. And those are important emotions and things to process too. But also there's a lot of hope and a lot of good I see coming out of that. And my wife and I have started to talk about it more with Elijah. He's now 11. He had his last day of 5th grade today. He'll be moving on to DeLong Middle School in the fall. And had some conversations about what he knows about the word racism. what he knows about what's happening. Eau Claire has had 3 very peaceful rallies and marches over the last week. There was a quite large one tonight led by Justin Vernon, who's known for Bon Iver, the music of Bon Iver. Him and some of his friends led one tonight downtown Eau Claire. Due to other things, they had a 5th grade celebration in the Sherman parking lot tonight, so we didn't go to that. But there's a special on tomorrow that CNN is coupling with Sesame Street to talk about racism and do a kind of a roundtable with some kids around the subject. Hannah and I have admitted that, we've just kind of gone with the flow with a lot of things to this point, but now that he's entering middle school and the world seems amped up on it again, that we've made a pledge to educate ourselves more. My sister lives down the Madison area and was a sociology major in college and studies a lot of this stuff. And so she suggested some good books or podcast listens. And I've been starting to read a book this week, and I just felt like I need to take a step back, because as it started to unfold last week, I felt very overwhelmed with all the information that's out there and that you could get to, but also to just step back. And a lot of people have said, just listen, educate yourselves, listen. I have a guy that's become a good friend of mine that I teach with. He's an African-American male that's a teacher in our building. And I reached out to him this week, and he said, I'd love to go, have a bite to eat sometime, or have a drink, or get together for a campfire and just talk. And I said, I'd love to listen to you, anything you want to share with us and stuff like that. So, of course, there's anxiety or anxiousness about Elijah's future, about Jonas's future. But I also believe in my heart of hearts that we can take one day at a time, and we can love them the best we can, and we can educate ourselves, and we can share that and show others that, and get involved where we can and feel responsible to. Interesting being 2 white privileged adults that are now tasked with raising 2 minority children in the world that we're dealt with right now.
Yeah, I just thought it's a very different perspective. And, I think for a lot of us, like Ben and I grew up in a small town. I think there was one African-American family in the whole town during our childhood. And, we went to school in Western Wisconsin. I mean, there's a little bit of diversity on campus, but it's not as much as, you would think. I mean, just look at, all 4 of us were in the Statesman group, and, it was mostly Caucasian guys in that group. So it's just things that we haven't really been faced with in our lives very often, the harsh reality and the perspective of some of these Black families who know this from the time they have children and then have to try to raise them in that environment, versus, Brown's case, where he didn't grow up with this experience, but here he's got 2 children that he needs to really address that with and make sure that they're educated, that you guys are educated. And the biggest thing moving forward is that we all put our voices forth. We got to listen. That's the big part. Educate ourselves and learn and this is like a really big in the other person's shoes moment, to picture yourself, put yourself in somebody else's shoes moment, so you can grasp this best. And then once we have that, we need to advocate. We need to speak out. It's not look away from something that's said or something that's wrong or whatever. It's, no, I'm sorry. That's not okay to say. That's not okay to do. This is where we are. We're all human beings. And I've been going on human decency for a while, and I'm going to say it every day till the end of my life. That's what I'm calling for across the board. Human decency is the challenge. We need it from our leaders. We need it from our police. We need it from everybody. We need it from ourselves. All human beings. Okay. That's my soapbox rant, but I think it's fair during these times.
Hey, I got to talk.
All right,
Browner, thank you, man. Thank you, Browner. I appreciate everything you're saying. Just my connection's stupid, so I might blip out and do crap, and I hope that doesn't happen to me. But there's something this week I really was questioning because when things happen, like even like with Kaepernick 4 years ago, I wasn't like upset, mostly because I'm not like the most patriotic guy in the world. I hate to say it, but I'm not. I'm just like, hey, I know what my rights are, and they're great. But as Jason said, we grew up in an all-white community pretty much. Went to college with mostly white people. I never, and most of my friends, to be honest, have always been white guys, and most people I talk to. And I actually watched the video today where Kenny Smith from Inside the NBA said the first time he hugged somebody of a different race wasn't until he was on the basketball court playing basketball. So it's like, if you don't have those experiences with other people of other races, you don't really know what they're going through or understand what they're going through. And this week I watched a lot of different things, and there was in Atlanta, there's this rapper Killer Mike. I don't know anything about him. I think he should change his name, but that's besides the point. But man, he had one of the speeches that the mayor of Atlanta had him come on, and it was great. It was really amazing. I never heard of this guy in my life before. Then he was also on another show on ESPN. I can't remember what it was. Or maybe it was no, it must have been the Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp show. And he talked about something that you got, that he was like, I can't really explain it, but you should watch this. And it's this blue-eyed, brown-eyed video with this Jane Elliott or something like that. And I watched it last night, and there's this thing where she goes and has these college kids. There's other versions of it, but the one I watched in particular was one with these college kids. And it's not for everybody to watch because it's pretty abrasive. Like Jessie was watching with me, and after a while she was like, I don't know if I can really watch this anymore. This is kind of tough to watch these kids, go through this thing. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a 2 hour a day where they're feeling what it's like to be somebody else for once. And I would suggest anybody who has the time, go on YouTube, look this up. I think it's just called Blue-Eyed, Brown-Eyed Experiment or something like that, where she separates the people by brown eyes and light-colored eyes. And she takes the people with brown eyes and she puts them with privilege, and she puts the people with light-colored eyes in a disadvantage. And then she's very stern and aggressive with the people with light-colored eyes. And she gives the people with the brown-colored eyes every advantage in the situation. And you watch, now obviously most of the kids, all the kids with light-colored eyes are, Caucasian. And she's very stern with them, and she's very trying to get them to understand what it feels like to not have that privilege and not feel, completely confident in where you're at and what you're doing. And by watching that, I was just like, man, just watching these kids go through 2 hours of this, can you imagine handling that your entire life, not knowing or not feeling confident or not feeling completely aware or assured that you're going to be able to do what you want and go where you want without having to, watch what you're doing. And then I wanted to be real careful before I said something. I wanted to go back and watch that Zadarius Smith when he got pulled over this last year. Since this is a Packer thing, we should do Packer stuff. And on that video, I watched it again today to make sure, because I didn't want to say anything incorrect. But the police officers, the first thing they say is, hey, did you know you were going 81? Or no, Zadarius asked why they pulled him over, and he's like, well, you're going 81. You know, you're going that fast. And this is the highway from Chicago to Green Bay. And I've been on that highway. People are going freaking 81 all the dang time. So that's kind of ridiculous that he got pulled over for that. The very next question was, you guys have weed in the car? And Zadarius said, well, we were smoking earlier, but, we don't have nothing now. And then he's like, well, can you shut the car off and then get out of the car? So then Zadarius does that because that's what he asked him to do. And then as soon as he gets out of the car, the police officer is like putting him in handcuffs. And all he did was stop him for going 81. And then Zadarius is like, am I being arrested? And he's like, no, we just got to search your car. And I'm like, well, first of all, why is he searching his car for stopping him for a speeding ticket? Second of all, why is he putting him in handcuffs during this time? And then they go and they put him in the squad car with whoever else is with them. I think it was actually Kingsley Keekly and maybe somebody else. I can't remember. But then they search his ar. They find 2 bags in the back seat. And then they ask Darius, hey, whose bags are these? And he's like, well, why? What's wrong? And then he's like, well, there was some marijuana in them. And he's like, well, That was my bag. And then he's like, okay. And then he's like, well, what about these other? He's like, there's another bag. And then he's like, and then Zadarius is like, I'll take that too. Yeah, that was mine too. So Zadarius took the hit for those other two guys, first of all, who was in the car with him. Because he didn't know. And you saw it on Zadarius' face when he was like, man, what are you guys doing with this crap in my car? But the bottom line to me is this. He got stopped for going 81, which has never happened to me. I've driven 81 on that highway a couple times. Never got stopped in my life. He was asked to come out of his car and handcuffed and put in the back of the police car just so that they could search his car on what, I don't know why they decided to search his car. Because he's a black guy who's driving a kind of expensive car, I guess. I don't know. And that's just a video of something you're seeing of, and it's not the police brutality or anything like that. It's just, it's people not being given the same rights that we're used to. And when you watch that, and when, like I said, you watch the blue-eyed, brown-eyed thing I was talking about, it really hits you and you're like, what is this crap? Like, I would never, if that was me and somebody's trying to pull that crap on me, I'd be pissed. I'd be screaming my brains out. And guys like Zadarius and other people in the world have to just take it and be Zadarius didn't fight back. The police officers weren't rough and they weren't rude or anything like that. But he had to do whatever they said. He got out of the car. He let himself get handcuffed. For what? He looked like a criminal on the side of the street. All these cars are driving past and they see, a big black guy with his hands, handcuffed. How's that look? That's a bunch of garbage. And it's not just police brutality that's a problem. It's a whole, like they say, it's a systemic thing where it's like these guys they're being racially profiled, all different races. And it's hard to imagine, like if that happened to me, you guys know I get mad about a whole bunch of crap and I get fired up and I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could just be like, okay, yep, all right, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. But I know I'm innocent and I know I'm not doing anything wrong. I'd be fired up and pissed. But these guys for their whole lives have to not do that and have to be respectful when they're not being shown the same respect. And that's why, like, it really means a lot to me. And I think it means a lot. It's going to mean something to people to see that if you don't feel those experiences and you don't go through those experiences, to see Browner, who is a white guy, who's had all the same privileges that I've had and all the same privileges that a lot of Packer fans have had, because a lot of Packer fans in Wisconsin, they're white. And he's got two sons who are not white. And they may have to go through this stuff. And he's got to worry about that stuff someday. So the best thing for us to do is to try to change this crap so that Browner and other people don't have to worry about this crap. It's ridiculous. And that's really all I got to say about it. But I appreciate Browner. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you too, buddy, and for speaking up to that. And it's interesting you bring that up. I'll just say one more thing, Jay, and we can go on to talk some Packers here. But I'm listening to like a book on tape or a podcast right now, and it's basically just a memoir of a guy growing up African American, and he talks about very early in your childhood he was taught by his grandpa and his dad, here's things you do and don't do. And it was like, if the police confront you, you say, yes, sir. You don't wear your hood up. You don't go down these streets at this certain time of night. And he said, he talks about what crap it is that he had to follow these certain rules just because of his skin color that wouldn't apply to most of, other people he went to school with and stuff like that. But he was taught a list of don'ts and do's being a African-American person very early in his life. And that's systemically needs to change.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got all worked up there. Thank you, Browner.
Oh, that's okay.
It's gonna be hard to transition out of that, Jace. I'm sorry, but I get a little fired up. You know me, I can't hold it. I'm not a very good poker player. I usually show my hand, but hey, what are you gonna do?
You're passionate, man. That's
I know.
One of the things I love about you. There's only a couple things, and that's one of them. So, but no, I'm just kidding. Right. But Brown, in all seriousness, before we move on, I kind of went down a little rant there, and I do want to thank you for sharing with us and bringing that to the table tonight, sharing that with anybody that watches this. I hope a lot of people do. I hope people that watch it share it as well. It's important. And congratulations, man. 10 years ago. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Seems like yesterday, but it's been fun. He's an awesome kid. I can't wait to watch him grow up. So
I liked your recreation of your picture that you had. That was nice on Facebook. They had the picture of him and his wife and his son, and then they just recreated the picture, except he was now 11 instead of being like a 1-year-old baby. So, yeah.
Yeah.
little bit bigger, Browner. But you know what? I hate to say it, Browner, but you gained a little bit of weight in there too. It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years. I got to give you a break.
Well, you can give me a hard time. My 7-year-old does. The word of the week about 2 weeks ago for first grade was look, and the sentence he had to use it in a sentence, and he said, "Look at my dad's big belly." So
Oh
wow.
I'll tell you, those kids are rough. Those kids are rough. Like Sophia is the worst. She's the hardest on me. Evan doesn't say jack, but Sophia comes up and she'll like ask me to make a muscle, right? Especially since I've been doing this push-up thing or whatever for a while. She's like, make a muscle, Dad. So I do. And then she comes up and then she like finds the weakest spot. And then she kind of pokes it and she just says, squishy. It's squishy, Dad.
Wow.
And then the other day she's asking Lenica about a couple things about, Lenica's like, I need to lose some weight and blah, blah, blah. And then all this stuff. And then she's like, well, yeah, but so does Dad. He's got that squishy belly and blah, blah, all this stuff. I'm like, shut up. I wasn't even involved in this. Like, what are you bringing me into this for, kid? Leave it alone. That kid's strong though. She's like crazy. She's been doing gymnastics. She does upside down stuff. She does backflips, and that kid's got skills I never had. So anyway. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us through that. All the people that stuck on, people that are coming in, we're going to jump into Packer stuff now. And because I made a list, damn it, I wrote all this stuff down. I went old school. I wrote it all down by hand because at work, I've been under high surveillance lately. So I took my break time. I couldn't even print off a sheet. I just took my break time. I actually wrote it, transferred the information from my computer screen to my piece of paper so it could not be tracked. It's untraceable, except I'm putting it out in the universe right now so my work will find out and I'll get in trouble next week, but it's fine. Before we get into the 47 to 52 reasons why Aaron Rodgers will still be the Packers quarterback in 2022, and Jordan Love will just be a nice, handsome, tall gentleman standing on the Packers sidelines.
Yep, that's where he should be.
We must a couple years. Yes, we must get into Matt LaFleur the liar. LaFleur the liar. And Brown pointed this out last week in this exchange we had leading up to the show, and it was frantic and furious, and I missed out. He was like going to this virtual campfire, and he was going to be on, and then he's like, he was going to join our show last week, and then all of a sudden he's like, I don't know, I can't do it. We're kind of distracted here. We're like social distancing, but we're drinking, but we're, there's a fire somewhere around, and then we're talking, and I don't know if we better not do it.
It's Eckes' fault. It's Eckes' fault.
It's always Eckes' fault. Whenever you have Eckes there, it's going to be his fault.
Exactly.
But beside that, anyway, I missed this little one-liner Browner put in there, which was that Matt LaFleur is a liar. And I was like, what is he talking about? So I looked it up. And Matt LaFleur was on the Wildy and Tausch radio show. I think it was Friday. It was like a Friday during the morning kind of a gig, right? And so what happened was Matt LaFleur made some very interesting statements. Very confusing. We're very confused. So I have quotes. I wrote these down as well. These are quotes. I will give them to you. And then I want some reactions. So here's Matt LaFleur on Wildy and Tausch about the selection of Jordan Love. He says, it was just one of those situations where there were a couple of guys targeted that had just previously been picked, and Jordan was the next guy on the board. So we went with the best player at the time. He said that. I'm assuming with a straight face, but it was on freaking radio, so I don't know. But what the hell? I'm sorry. Jordan was the next guy on the board at pick 30, maybe.
Liar. That's what prompted my liar comment, was that quote right there. Liar.
Now listen.
I didn't hear what Wildy and Tausch said, but yeah, go ahead.
We have a guy here in Mo who just recently, finally, after 7 weeks or whatever it's been, that the nation has witnessed Browner laughing at me and my brother and Eckes have heart attacks over the Jordan Love pick, and then Browner's sitting there laughing, and then all the people are like, "I like that guy with the goatee. He actually is enjoying his friend's pain," and that made me sad. But anyways, it's true when you watch it back. And Mo just watched it today. Mo, do you think that LaFleur could have possibly just lied to us after watching the reactions that we had on that video today?
Whether you call it a lie or blowing smoke or whatever version of that you'd like to call it, yeah, I do. Mostly because I heard quite a few rumors that the Packers were trying to trade up to the Vikings slot to take him. So it's not like someone just magically went off the board. And who wants to trade so badly they would want to trade with their own division rival in the first round? But anyway, so yeah, I do, and I'd like to comment on that video a little bit because I was surprised by how quiet you guys were at first. It was like this silent shock that you had when Jordan Love was announced, that was slowly broken by Ben just completely blowing stop. I couldn't stop laughing.
That's why I was laughing.
It just and then the best part was that you guys were trying to convey your emotions without using any expletives, which
That was hard. That was so hard.
I appreciated, but I could see the struggle, which probably just made the frustration even worse. But so it was a beautiful, beautiful disaster, I have to say, and I did laugh quite a bit. So thank you for that.
All right, here's another Matt LaFleur lie, because I gotta get onto this other stuff. Anyway, hey, I forgot all about this. It's Brews and Bros. Tell us what you're drinking. Rick Dahl's here. Rick said he already ranted about that one. He's drinking Kolsch, by the way. Thank you, Rick. Mom and Dad don't have any brews. You got Anna P Brewery right down the street, Mom and Dad.
It's a really good brewery. It's really
head
good.
Head over to the
That's
garage.
my brew.
Head over to the garage. What do you got, Ben?
Coca-Cola.
Coke. Oh, I gotta say one thing.
Brown or two? Well, okay. All right.
Wait, Browner, what do you got?
Browner's drinking something.
This is just brandy 7-Up tonight.
Ooh.
Hey.
All right. Very nice. Okay, Ben, you're up.
The only thing I have to say is last time when Mo was on a couple weeks ago, I had a handy Smurf glass, and I was incorrect. I said it was from 1987. I washed it, and when I washed it, I realized that it had 1983. So that was an incorrect statement by me. I am now correcting my former incorrect statement to say that particular Hardee's Smurf glass with handy Smurf on it was actually from 1983, not from 1987, just in case anybody got mad about that.
I'm going to say that had to have come from Hardee's.
It's worth even more now. It's worth tons now.
It's 4 more years. That's like what? Four more cents, right? 4 more cents.
Now I have to say this. I appreciate Ben's integrity. See, and that's what you get from Hayford Brothers, and that's why you should subscribe to our channel and our show and watch and like and do all this stuff. Because all these other goofballs and crazy clowns that make all these statements on, especially sports radio, but plenty of other places, media outlets that are out there. They just say stuff. They don't ever come back and fix it or correct it or say when they were wrong. They don't even like to admit what they were wrong. Just like last week when I vented about Colin Cowherd saying he'd rather have Mark Sanchez as his quarterback than Aaron Rodgers at one point, and I wanted to throw my radio out the window. Anyway, you know what? I screwed up. I jumped into this LaFleur thing, so I'm going to finish LaFleur the liar. Then we have to say something cool about our Packers because we're very proud of them. And then we'll get into the 47 to 52 reasons why Aaron Rodgers still be the Packers quarterback after 2022. All right. Matt LaFleur then said in the same interview, may have been drinking. Maybe he had some drinks before this morning interview. I don't know. He said, this is very confusing. Very confusing. One area we really need to improve on is creating more explosive plays. We were pretty efficient, but 23rd in explosive plays. Now, he did go on.
What? Wait a minute.
No,
efficient yet 23rd? How is that efficient?
No. He claims the Packers were efficient offensively, but they just didn't have the explosive plays because they were way down 23rd in the league in explosive plays. Now, he did go on and try to take a little of the blame for saying it starts with play calling and some of that stuff. But then he said we need to take a few more chances to help generate those plays down the field.
How when you draft an H-back tight end and a fullback, pretty much.
Who is going down the field?
Well, one of those receivers in the deepest wide receiver draft in the history of the NFL that you could have taken in one of the 7 rounds that you didn't draft.
Listen, Viking fan.
Not one. I was
not
surprised.
one.
Nope.
Listen, we didn't draft Treadwell. We didn't draft Williamson.
Good move. Good moves.
Hang on.
Don't even listen,
Hold
Viking
on.
guy.
No,
All I can say is this.
Yeah. Fair
Listen,
point. Fair point.
I put a video today on Facebook about Alan Lazard. I found it online about this guy talking about
I
Alan
like
Lazard.
him. I like
It was
Lazard.
awesome. You should
I
go
watched
watch it. It's on my Facebook page. Talks about Alan Lazard and how he got, he was a #1 recruit, and then he went and he got a bunch of offers from a bunch of big name schools, but he promised in his sophomore year of high school that he was going to go to Iowa State because that's where his dad went. And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to Iowa State. So I went to Iowa State, which was a stinky team, but he wasn't, so he wasn't as highly recruited as everybody else. Then he thought he was going to go on the first day. Yeah, sorry. But you should watch that video.
No. I got one.
That's the guy.
Hold on.
That's the guy.
I got one question. First of all, Alan Lazard doesn't have necessarily the speed to go down the field, first of all. Secondly, did Alan Lazard, during the course of that video, mention Jason Wiegand at all? Because
No.
Jason Wiegand is with his #1 fan.
Well, yeah.
Who lives in Iowa. And I think he teaches or he's on the faculty at Iowa State. I don't know. Wiegand, if you're out there, correct me. I don't know what anyway, he loves Lazard. He's loved him, said he was going to be awesome and thinks he is going to continue to be awesome. And we do too. Now, a couple of things from the chat. Eric points out, Sarah and Andrew here drinking wine and tequila. I don't know if that's mixed and they're both drinking wine and tequila, or one's drinking wine and one's drinking tequila, but whatever, that's cool. Eric said he just checked it out. A set of 5 Smurf glasses from 1983 available on eBay for $8.
Dang it. I don't even have all 5. I think I've only got like 3.
So
hang on, I'll go check. I'll be back, guys. You just keep talking. I'll see what I got.
So Eric thinks, all right, Ben's going to look into that. Eric thinks it's not that big of a deal. Rick thinks it's not that big of a deal. The Packers can still move the ball efficiently without any big plays, which I agree. However, when your coach says, and he harped on it all through the whole season, big plays, we need more big plays. He said it all the time. LaFleur calls them explosives or explosive plays, not big plays. Sorry, explosive plays down the field. But he said it all the time, and that's another thing. Mike McCarthy said that was big plays are one of the fundamentals of football. So it's clear that in the NFL, coaches think that big plays are crucial. You can't just methodically move the ball down the field, even though we've seen teams do it. And we watch Tom Brady throw to his running backs all the time when he was in New England, and it works just fine. And we see Aaron Rodgers do it sometimes, and it works great. You ball control, you move the ball, you wear the other team down. You don't have to throw the ball down the field, whatever. But these coaches apparently think you do. And if you do, if this is a big thing you're bringing up in this interview, one area we really need to improve on is creating more explosive plays. If you are that concerned about that, and you have nobody on the roster that can give you explosive plays, and you're willing to move up, trade and move up, then why wouldn't you go after one of the really speedy guys like Ruggs or someone like that and make sure that you got him? Because I'm telling you guys this, I spent a little time looking at tape on Tyreek Hill this week. Everybody loves Patrick Mahomes is so great, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Tyreek Hill is freaking wide open all the time because nobody can cover him because the guys are playing off 5 yards. He makes a move and he still gets past him deep. The guy is insanely fast. So it doesn't even have to be a big guy. If the guy's crazy fast and you want explosive plays, you get a crazy fast guy that's also shifty. And Ruggs seemed to be that guy. Ben talked about Ruggs all the time.
Yep,
so,
I like him.
Answer me that. If you were so willing, and this is a big crucial point, why didn't you do something like that instead of a guy that's going to sit on your bench for hopefully 6 years?
So I don't know if he's Tyreek Hill, but I think a guy we need to keep our eyes on this year. And I'm sorry, I've watched spottingly the last couple of weeks, but Equanimous St. Brown was hurt last year, and they talked that year prior and even in preseason last year about his potential for a potential big play down the field. They liked how smart he was, and that he could kind of be that guy that maybe Rodgers trusted, like he used to trust Jordy because of how smart he was. So I'm not saying he's going to make a huge difference this year. I mean, I hope he does, but if he comes back healthy and is smart, like they say, and came in with some decent speed from Notre Dame, maybe they see him adding to already Devontae and Lazard to be that third guy that can help stretch the field. Just a thought.
I don't know. I hope he can be productive. I don't know that he's fast enough for that. But again, it's about the matchups, right? So if a lot of teams are playing man, and teams are going to roll coverage to Devontae Adams, you're going to get other guys singled up. If you get other guys singled up, can they be fast enough to beat the third or fourth corner on the other team? Okay, well then it could work. But then Matt LaFleur has to prove that he's smart enough, which he hasn't proven to me, that he's smart enough to exploit those matchups. And if he doesn't want to allow Rodgers, the ability on the field to call things to exploit those matchups, then he's got to dial it up in the play. So I don't know. Again, that goes back to things we've said before about, some people talking about, oh, Rodgers wants to change the plays and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Well, why wouldn't you use a guy's experience that's played that much football to get you in advantageous situations? But anyway, I don't know. But those are just
I have one
perplexing statements. Go ahead, Eric.
What, just as an outsider, because the only way you don't take a wide receiver and a draft so deep in wide receiver is if you're really, really comfortable with what you have, or at least that's your belief, right? As the GM, right? So like Browner said, maybe needs to get a guy healthy who we think they can do that. But right now, from my perspective, you got the only person I'm worried about beating me deep is Devontae Adams. So you're going to roll a safety over the top of him almost all the time. So someone else has to beat him. And then you have this running game, right? You have a great running game. You have a great running back. I don't see and maybe this is just my perception, but I don't see a lot of play action where you can bring up a safety into the box. That there should be plenty of opportunity for single coverage to get that explosive play that he's referring to. The question is, who's going to do it? Because it's not going to be Devontae Adams, because any smart defensive coordinator is going to bracket him, right? So someone else has to beat. They're going to make someone else beat you. You're going to make him play left-handed, assuming you're right-handed, and make someone else beat you. So you must believe that someone like that is on your roster already, because you didn't draft anybody else and you didn't sign anybody else. So there must be somebody that they believe in, right?
I have the answer. I know stuff. Here it is. Browner was on to something. He was on to something. A guy who got hurt last year and was out a lot, but he's coming back to big plays. He was on to something. He just had the wrong guy's name. Who's the guy that killed us twice? Well, at least once. The second time didn't have to even get the ball because they were just running all over us. George Kittle. Our George Kittle is going to be Jay Sternberger. And you know why it's going to work? Because they drafted Dylan. You know why they drafted Dylan? They're going to do some play action. And not only are they going to do some play action, good old Jay Sternberger is going to do a classic George Kittle. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to block you, and then I'm going to run like a crazy man, super deep, and no one's going to know what's up. He's going to be wide open. You got one of the best play action quarterbacks in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers. They're going to bite that crap. Everybody is. Next thing you know, boom, Jay Sternberger. Jay Sternberger is going to do some stuff this year. The other thing, remember that Giants game from last year? Alan Lazard had 2 huge gains against play action passes from Aaron Rodgers. Alan Lazard and also St. Brown, they're kind of the same guy. So that's why I don't know if St. Brown is going to be able to crack a lot of playing time when Alan Lazard and him are very similar. And I think Lazard's got a little bit more trust with Rodgers at this point, especially in LaFleur's system, because St. Brown looked good in McCarthy's system, but he's not there anymore. So I don't know. But either one of those guys, they're very similar. They're tall, they're pretty decent. They both have really good hands, and they're both really smart. So I'm very happy about that. The other thing, unfortunately, all I have besides a handy is a Baker Smurf glass. So I don't have all 5. I only have 2. But I have other thing. It's really great. Are you ready for this, Mo? You're going to love this. Mo, I know, is going to love this. All right. I think it was Burger King. Burger King did these. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Oh my God. Oh, my God. Here we go.
I'm just putting it on you right now. Let's see it.
Frodo Baggins goblet in the box. The goblet looked like this. I still in here. I don't know if the light works because there's a little light that would light up, and whatever drink you put in would light up. Frodo Baggins. Hang on. Strider, also known as Aragorn.
Nice.
Still in the box. Hang on.
Oh,
Gandalf, still in the box. Are you ready? Here's my own personal favorite. because
Rick,
you
can
know
you
I
look
like
those up for us, Rick?
I like
What's the
beautiful
value on
ladies. Arwen
those? Oh, there you
Nice.
go.
in the box. That's right, baby. These things have got to be worth at least $8 a piece in the box.
I'm
Now,
sure
the
Rick
box is
Rick will
kind of
look that
dusty,
up for
but-
us. I'm sure.
And if anybody, hey, I
All
guess I
four
didn't-
for $9.95 on eBay.
Hey! Just so you know, I have 3 Striders. So if somebody wants a Strider, because those
I
are
want
good
one.
to come by. And I got 1 extra Frodo.
I'll
But
take a Frodo too.
The Gandalf, and the Arwen. I only got one. So you're not getting those, Mo. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Oh man.
I know Mo's a big Lord of the Rings fan like me, so I just had to I just was looking at my glasses and I'm like, yeah. And you should see the stuff Jesse has. Holy mackerel! He's got
All right,
Star
hold on.
Trek glasses, Star Wars glasses.
I'm taking
all kinds
control. I'm taking
nerdy
this
stuff.
back over again. Okay, we got it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We
I'm
got
sorry.
it.
Okay.
All right. We got a couple things to get to. Okay. I didn't get caught up in the chat. Rick does point out that that Tyreek Hill, the Raiders make him look pretty good twice a year. And yep. So that's very true. I mean, I watched some tape on the guy. It's insane how quickly he gets open and how open he gets. So can you just imagine playing with a guy like that? That would be something. Okay. I don't want to spend. We have to get into the 47 to 52 reasons Aaron Rodgers will be the Packers quarterback in 2022. But we do have some Packer pride. I got to puff on my chest a little bit. I'm proud to be a Packers fan, even though I just ripped on Matt LaFleur there. But what Matt LaFleur did a good job of was helping the Packers take a stance here this week. They came out with enough is enough video. They, as a company, as an organization, they're committing dollars and resources to social justice measures and organizations. And they made a statement. And for an NFL team and an organization, not just a player or whatever, to come out and do that, I think was pretty big. And it made me feel really proud to be a Packers fan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was very well done. It was very well done.
And
he had an interview today. I don't know
Aaron
if you saw it.
Rodgers was a big catalyst behind that as well.
Yeah.
I also appreciate what he's done.
He said LaFleur said that Aaron Rodgers wrote the intro and the outro, and then all the guys kind of recorded themselves saying it, and that's how they spliced it all, saying different words. But then he said the middle part of it was just guys just saying how they felt from the heart, and that's how they put it together. The other thing he said that was very interesting, I kind of liked, since you're bagging on the floor, I'm going to say something nice about him here. One of the reporters asked him, they said that when McCarthy was here during the Kaepernick Neal stuff, McCarthy said he was kind of complaining that they spent more time worried about whether they were going to kneel or not kneel or whatever for the anthem than doing football things that week. And they asked LaFleur what his opinion was on that. You know, are you spending too much time the last couple of days talking about things that aren't football related? And LaFleur said, we're going to spend as much time as we need to make sure everybody gets heard and that we can understand what everybody wants. Football is secondary at this point. Now they're not actually leading up to a game to play, so that's who knows what's going to happen there. But at least he is, everything he said today in the interview was pretty much Matt LaFleur. Didn't say a whole lot of anything, but that was one of the things he said that I was very happy to hear. And the one thing I like about him is he's a player's coach, but he seems like he's not going to let him walk all over him, which is good. Where McCarthy wasn't always a player's coach, but he was. It was just a weird situation with him. So I like LaFleur. Don't bag on him so much all the time. Yeah, he's a liar, but you don't have to bag on him.
I mean, well, I wish he would just own up and say it then, and just be real about it. But whatever, it's fine. I understand he's trying to. It's paper thin ass covering that he's trying to work for himself right now. I get it. Browner also sent me something, which is, I mean, again, okay, they're saying this, but let's see if there's action behind it. But the NFL, Roger Goodell posted a video just today saying, acknowledging that the NFL was wrong not to encourage players to protest peacefully before, and they're now unifying behind that. The NFL. Now that's big news because you know what the NFL is like. You know who makes it up. You know how many dollars are involved and all this stuff. So for them to at least even make this statement is pretty important. Now we hope there's follow through, but at the same time, when you look at the makeup of NFL teams, there's a lot of African Americans that make up NFL teams. So you want to support those guys. And I think the NFL is maybe following the lead a bit of the NBA, because Adam Silver has done a remarkable job of balancing the business of the NBA and also being really supportive of the players and what they bring to the table. And I think the NFL is finally coming around to that and seeing how successful the NBA has been at it. But Browner, thanks for shooting that over too, because that was some pretty significant news. So those are some cool things in the National Football League. Now we get to the crux, the fun crux here. Are you guys ready? I didn't give any of this away. So these guys are still wondering why there's a range of reasons. What are the 47? Here's what we're doing. This is what I did. I looked at, and I want you to see if anybody else. Okay, we didn't have any about the comments yet. I kind of bounce around from the Zoom to the YouTube so I can check chat comments once in a while. This is what I did. I looked at first round. Jordan Love was a first round quarterback selection, correct? So I looked at first round quarterbacks drafted since 2000. I'm excluding this year's draft because we haven't seen those guys play at all in the NFL. We know nothing about them. But 2000 to 2019, I have every quarterback drafted in the first round, the number they were drafted at in that year and whichever year. So I'm going to go through some of these names. There are at least 47 of them that give you reason to think Jordan Love will not be amount to anything really of any significance, which would then make you think Aaron Rodgers will still be the quarterback in 2022 and not Jordan Love. Because this is the thing, like I watched all of these recaps, all the media, everything that happened ever since Jordan Love was drafted. Well, that's his successor. He's going to be gone. When are they trading him? Is it after this year? Is it after next year? Well, it really makes sense after 2021, but maybe they'll take the cap hit after this year and blah, blah. Maybe Jordan Love's not going to be any good because guess what? A lot of first round quarterbacks aren't any damn good. So in the year 2000, there was one first round quarterback drafted. Number 18 in that year's draft, the one and only Chad Pennington. And he's one of the better ones. He was an okay quarterback, right? But is he a guy you want to shove Aaron Rodgers on? This is what you have to think, right? A lot of these people maybe started for a team, but they didn't have an existing quarterback like Aaron Rodgers that they were trying to get rid of or supplant. So that's the other part to this equation. So Chad Pennington, anybody want to make the argument for Chad Pennington? No, it's crickets. It's going to be crickets on a lot of these. Okay. 2001, there was one quarterback selected in the first round, number 1 overall. That was Mike Vick. Very talented. He might be a guy you'd be like, well, he's so talented. Okay. Young, talented. What is he doing now? Aaron Rodgers is playing. I guess he's commenting on sports stuff now for CBS or somebody or whatever. He was talented, never probably equated to being that great of a quarterback.
There's a few layers to that one too. Obviously, he had some legal things with the
character
dog fighting
issues.
Sure that came out later, but he had pretty amazing season with Philadelphia that year, and he put Atlanta on the map with a lot of things that he did.
We remember him because he came into Green Bay and beat the Packers in the playoff game. That was the Packers' first loss at Lambeau Field in the playoffs in like forever. It sucked.
We also remember him because he threw a ball in the end zone to Riley Cooper, and Tramon Williams went up there and picked that crap, and the Packers went to the Super Bowl and won. So yeah, we really like Mike Vick.
It was a huge play. I remember that play.
Plus Clay Matthews sacked him 3 times in that game too.
You know what? I got to pour one for Tramon here. Even if he's not a Packer again this year. Tramon, you were awesome, man. You were awesome, buddy. All right, 2002. Number 1 overall pick, another number 1 overall. Jordan Love was number 26 overall. Number 1 overall, David Carr. Granted, he was put in a tough spot. Offensive line was terrible. Team wasn't great, but he didn't amount to much.
Offensive line, like he had Joey Harrington syndrome, right? Because he had no offensive line and just got pummeled into submission, just like Joey Harrington did when he was with Detroit. And it just destroyed him. Oh,
have you looked at this list? Joey Harrington was the number 3 pick that.
I figured he was coming.
He was picked number 3 that same year, 2002. Joey Harrington. Again, you know what though? I would just tell them Aaron Rodgers. Everybody tries to talk about Aaron Rodgers' offensive line being so good. It has not been that good, and Aaron Rodgers makes them look better than they are a lot of the time. Now, sometimes it's so he can hold on to the ball really a long time, but sometimes guys are like getting in there and he's like moving. I mean, he's got great pocket awareness. He's athletic. He can move. He can escape. He's had some amazing escapes over the years. Like if you go back and watch Rodgers highlight stuff, like some of the stuff he gets out of, it's incredible. There's not too many guys that get out of that stuff. Oh, Rick is sad. Your internet's not acting up tonight, Ben. I'm sorry. Sorry, Rick.
Don't jinx it, Rick. God,
Rochester's
burn it.
All right, 2000. We got some more years.
I got the cross behind me today. That's supposed to keep the bad juju away.
2002, the number 32 pick in the draft was Patrick Ramsey. Is he a guy? I'm not going to ask it every time. Is that a guy you'd ever want?
Just go. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
He was a backup. I mean, come on.
2003, number 1 overall pick, Carson Palmer. He had a nice career. Number 7 that year was Byron Leftwich.
Oh.
Number 19 that year was Kyle Bowler. And number 22 in 2003, Rex Grossman. Sexy Rex.
Hey, he went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, one good year.
He went to a Super Bowl.
He's the reason why Peyton Manning got a Super Bowl win with the Colts.
Okay. Then we have 2004, which is the one that has the most guys that take you out of the equation a little bit, aren't necessarily reasons to believe. But you had, well, some of them are. I mean, okay, there are 3 of them that played a long time, were very successful. Doesn't mean they were great. But Eli Manning was the first pick.
Won 2 Super Bowls. I mean,
Super Bowls. First ballot.
First ballot Giants Hall of Famer, but he's not. Come on,
Browner.
Look at his statistics. Come on, man. And the way just because you made 2 great throws at key points in the playoffs, one of them was Super Bowl. The second Super Bowl, the pass he makes down the sideline between the safety and the corner and drops it in there.
That was a great pass.
That was freaking great. But then you play like total trash for a bunch of the rest of your career. Like, come on, man. That guy's not.
The David Tyree catch. I mean, I know it was a lot of David Tyree, right? But he evaded like 2 sacks on that play. I mean, whatever. He won 2 Super Bowls.
He did win.
Lucky they didn't have in the grass rule at that point because he would have been called in the grass and they would never even got out of that.
Yeah, they had that rule at that point, Ben.
Oh, they just didn't call.
He was.
They were about to blow the whistle. If you watch the replay, the guy is just about to blow the whistle. Calling him down.
Jeez.
But
I mean, I think I like Eli Manning and the fact that he was able to prevent the Patriots from winning 2 more Super Bowls. So I thank him for that. But if you watch like a lot of the games over the years, for the majority of his career, he's average at best. But he had some great moments.
Sure.
He had some great moments. Okay. Phillip Rivers, old man Phil. I mean, played a long time, successful, pretty good quarterback. I'm not better than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, none of these guys are better than Aaron Rodgers, first off, until we get to maybe a couple of the one, maybe. And then Big Ben was the number 11 pick in that same draft, 2004.
Really good.
So he's
not.
He's kind of a pain in the ass. Like people say Rodgers is difficult, which I don't think is the truth. But Big Ben is a pain in the ass.
Well, that's fine.
And he gets hurt a lot.
He does get hurt a lot. He's won a Super Bowl, but he's,
Dude, he won a Super Bowl where his wide receiver won the MVP in a game that they should have never won.
He was 9 out of 21 in that game. 9 out of 21 in that.
9 out of 21.
His first Super
Pat
Bowl
Hasselbeck got screwed. Don't even get me started on Hasselbeck and Holman getting screwed.
We're not getting you started. You're getting yourself started.
Is an overrated pile of crap, and that's another reason why the Packers have a Super Bowl. Though I'll give him that. Thank you, Ben Roethlisberger, for that Super Bowl.
Yeah, he almost beat him in that Super Bowl. That's for sure.
We do appreciate that. Howard Green got pressure on him. He threw it up and we had a great safety at that point. Nick Collins. Sucked that his career ended short because that guy was awesome. He would have been really, really good. All right. 2004, the other quarterback in the first round, number 22 was J.P. Lossman.
Oh, the Bills.
Yeah.
Oh, Bills.
Okay. 2005. We like that draft.
Yeah, we do.
At least Packers fans do. Number 1 is Alex Smith. Number 24, one of the best quarterbacks ever. Maybe the best quarterback ever, Aaron Rodgers. And number 25, Jason Campbell. Damn, did the Redskins lose out on that one? Why didn't they get up and get Rodgers instead of Campbell? 1 pick later. I mean, Jason Campbell was a nice backup, but that was about it. 2006, Vince Young was the 3rd pick in that draft.
Yuck.
Not really a good quarterback, but he could run kind of fast. Number
Heck of
10.
a Rose Bowl the year before.
He was great in college. He tore
Great
him
college
up.
player.
Tore
Great
him
college
up.
player.
Number 10, Matt Leinart.
Great college player
He's a
on a
pretty,
loaded USC team.
he's a pretty good analyst. I'll give
Hey,
him that.
Matt Leinart did a job. He cemented that Kurt Warner was a Hall of Famer. Good job, Matt Leinart.
Okay.
He did.
Oh,
He
Rick-
sucked so bad that it got Kurt Warner off the crap heap for like he was Eli Manning's backup for a couple years, not doing anything. And Leinart was so bad, they were like, we got to play Warner because we got to at least save
It's
our
true.
jobs as the coaching staff. And then Warner just went like, hey, let's go to Super Bowl, everybody. And they're like, yeah. And there you
Sorry,
go.
I think if Kurt Warner's Hall of Famer, so's Eli Manning. Continue.
Oh,
Well, if he is a Hall of Famer, that's only because he learned stuff from Kurt Warner when Kurt Warner was
True.
his backup.
well, I'll say this. It pisses me off about Kurt Warner because in 2009, if Leinart could have still been the starter, the Packers would have won the damn playoff game against Arizona and not lost that crazy playoff game, highest scoring playoff game of all time. All right.
Well, if the officials would have called the face mask on the,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
I'm not
They
going to
did.
get into all that.
they did miss it. It's true.
There, official. Erickson official. He'll point that stuff out. All right.
Yeah.
Number 11 pick in 2006 was Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler.
Another
Second
great
best Packer
Packer.
quarterback of all time.
Yeah. and hey, he was also a Viking quarterback. He helped the Vikings. Jay Cutler, he was
Rick
fine,
says
great find for the NFC North.
Rick says Eli might get in the Hall of Fame if they offer family membership plans.
Oh, Rick.
Nice. That's
Rick
nice.
has always
Well,
got good
here.
ones.
He
That's a
get,
good one.
but Rick is going to be really in pain after this one because 2007, the number one
Raiders.
pick in the draft was Jamarcus Russell.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry,
So-
Rick.
so-
Sorry.
I think so many GMs learned a lesson with Jamarcus Russell because he had the most amazing pro day that anyone has ever seen in their lives. Like he threw like a 60 yards from his knee, and people were like, "This guy has like the most amazing arm ever." And the problem was he has like the worst work ethic and had zero care at all about playing football. So, I mean, that's where you just fall in love with the pro day, and you're so enamored with it. It's like you got the beer goggles on as a GM, and just oh my gosh, what a disaster!
I heard Jordan Love had some good pro days.
Oh no,
Oh no, Browner. Don't say it.
It's okay if they can dress him up. This is what I'm telling you. 2022, Rodgers still going to be there. They'll dress up Jordan Love as this. He'll look good in the preseason playing against vanilla defenses, and they can dress him up for a pick. It'll still work out in the end. It just won't help the Packers this year. Now 2007 was pretty bad because you had Jamarcus Russell, number 1. Sorry, Rick. And number 22, the only other quarterback in the first round that year was Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn. Okay, so far,
The Browns are going to be on there a couple times.
yep. 2004, we had 3 longtime starters. Through 2004, we had 4 longtime starters with Palmer, Eli, Rivers, Big Ben. But the rest of these guys, I mean, Mike Vick had some flashes, but whatever. The rest of these guys didn't start a heck of a lot. 2008, we got a couple of longtime starters. Are they really good? Not really, but they're starters. Number 3 was Matt Ryan that year, and number 18 was Joe Flacco that year. I kind of bunched those guys together because to me they're about the same.
Yeah, the only difference between them is that one of them has Julio Jones, and that's why he's still playing. And the other one didn't have Julio Jones, and that's why he's not still playing.
The only difference is one of them's got a Super Bowl ring. The other one should have.
Well, that too.
Yeah, that's true. Joe Flacco, I will say this. Joe Flacco played great at the right time, just before his contract, got the Super Bowl, looked good in those playoff games, got the Super Bowl win, got all the money, and then,
went back to normal.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So-
he played great that year. He had Anquan Bolden that year, and he's like, "Well, I'm in trouble. I'm just going to toss it up to him and have him make a
And the
play for
Ravens
me."
defense. He kind
Yeah.
of got a Trent Dilfer treatment a little bit. So.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And Matt Ryan's got a lot of stats. He's thrown for a lot of yards. He's got all the comebacks or whatever. Matty Ice, only because they're always behind in games. Whatever. It's just like all those years where the Packers were kicking everybody's butt and so far ahead, and then people are like, "Well, these." Who was one that somebody said? I'm trying to think of a terrible quarterback. It's not even good. that somebody was like, well, this guy has, oh, that was another Cowherd thing where he's talking about how some garbage quarterback has got more fourth quarter comebacks than Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, that's because the Packers don't need to come back in the fourth quarter because they're always kicking everybody's butt. So you don't get fourth quarter comebacks in. Anyway, all right, 2009, we got Matt Stafford, the number 1 overall pick in 2009.
Player.
Talented.
Yeah.
You're talented. Would you bump Rodgers out of town for him? Probably not, but maybe.
Big arm, no support. Had Kelvin Johnson for years.
Yeah. Number 5 pick in 2009, Mark Sanchez.
Butt fumble.
Oh,
Yeah. And number 17 that year was Josh Freeman. So
Tampa Bay is on here a lot too.
not a lot. Sorry, Rick. Did I mention Jamarcus Russell was number 1 in 2007? Okay. Anyway, number 2010.
Wow.
Well, because Rick said his internet was cutting out. He was having cutting out internet tonight, so I wanted to make sure he didn't miss
yeah,
that one.
just twist it one more time.
I think he just didn't want to hear the Jamarcus Russell stuff. That's why his internet.
He knows it all
knocked
too
out.
well. He's talked about that pick for a long time. 2010, Sam Bradford was the number 1 overall pick. He played for a while. Mo, you know Sam Bradford. I mean, he was on your team for a bit.
No. He got hurt for a while. He never played. He was always hurt.
He got hurt a lot, which is, I mean, he's a talented guy, right? And I know even Mike Zimmer would say, like, because they were going to just carousel quarterbacks at that time, but they still said that no one threw a better ball than Sam Bradford. And when he was healthy, he was good. I mean, he was good. He he's not the most athletic guy, but he threw an amazing ball and was extremely accurate. The problem was his health. It was always his health. And, it would be nice. It would have been nice to see what he could have done with his career if he could have avoided some of those injuries.
Fair enough. Number 25 in that same draft, only other quarterback in the first round was Tim Tebow.
Was he a quarterback?
I don't think so. I would have lined him up at fullback or something. I mean,
You gotta like the way he played, though, right?
He played
I mean,
hard. Yeah.
And that opportunity he had with Denver, like Tebow time in the fourth quarter, and he had the competitiveness to be a quarterback, right? Just zero accuracy at all, which is unfortunate. Maybe if he tried to play right-handed, it would have been better. I don't know, but you gotta love how he competed, though, right? I mean, he had fire.
Listen, hey, the Denver fans loved him so much. John Elway had to get Peyton Manning to come to town just to get him out of town. So
point.
yes, you're right. I mean, they had to take a big step for Elway to get him out of town because Elway didn't want him there anymore. And yeah, but I mean, Tebow, when it comes to a leader and a great guy, yeah, Tebow's like a number 1 quarterback draft overall. Sure, I'll take him. He's still got to play.
Right. He had a
He's
lot of
still
good
gotta play.
intangibles.
Right.
He just couldn't really throw the ball.
Right. It's kind of
And
an important trait.
At quarterback, that's a bit of an issue,
Yeah.
I mean, okay. But the thing is, I mean, there were reports of practices, right? From the Broncos at the time with him like dirting 10-yard outs into the ground. I mean, what the hell? You're the coaching staff. You got this guy in practice and you see that stuff. Like, what are you thinking at that point? You're like, let's reinvent this offense. Let's wing tee this stuff because I don't know how.
Check out the tight end playbook, Timmy, for tomorrow's practice.
Oh man, but the guy has heart and he played hard. And hey, they won a playoff game with him. So I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Against Ben Roethlisberger. I hate Ben Roethlisberger. I just hate Ben Roethlisberger, man. All right, keep going.
Only because he's a more famous Ben than you. That's the only problem. All right.
More infamous.
But you're a nicer Ben, and you could be just as famous if you worked harder at your music and put that stuff out there and write a song. What's wrong with you? All right. 2011.
I wrote a song. I wrote a bunch of songs.
Well, write some. Let's go. All right. 2011. Number 1 overall is Cam Newton. Where is he now?
He can't. Nobody wants him.
Can't find a job.
But he was.
What's your opinion?
He was league MVP.
Oh,
and he won.
Shouldn't have been.
He was.
Should have been. Aaron Rodgers should have been that year. Just like the year Matt Ryan won, Aaron Rodgers should have been. We already gone over that in People Brothers Talking Packers.
No,
Many
15.
If you'd listen to us.
You got it mixed up, Ben. 15 or the year Cam Newton won was not the year Rodgers shouldn't have won that year. But
Yeah.
it was. But the criteria that they gave Cam Newton for winning with all the rushing statistics and everything else they neglected to give Rodgers credit for all those things in 16. That's the issue. That's the issue.
The year Cam Newton won, Rodgers had more passing touchdowns than him.
No, but
He didn't?
Peyton, I think it was like other quarterbacks had better years than Rodgers that year too. So even if it was just a quarterback award, it wouldn't have worked out the same.
Well, and what
But the
separates
criteria-
Cam is the rushing ability, right? Tons of rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. You know, he was a dual threat. You know that really the league hadn't seen to that level before.
Well, and his style, the clothes he wore, and the hats with the feather and.
For sure. Yeah,
Whatever.
the post-game conferences were next level. You
know, and
there's got to be something wrong with him physically right now that nobody is even bringing him in. Or I guess it's probably because of this coronavirus stuff that they can't get him in and actually give him a physical to find out if there is something wrong with him.
I was just going to say, somebody's going to pick him up once they're able to bring him in, because I think he could still play for somebody or be a viable backup. They just, with COVID stuff, I don't think they can get a good look at him.
Yeah. It'll probably be
be interesting.
Saints. The Saints will sign him, and
Well, then they're going to have like 17 quarterbacks.
Yep, that's what they're going to do. Okay, then Jake Locker was the 8th overall pick in 2011. How's he doing?
So bad.
Number 10 that year, Blaine Gabbert.
Really bad.
And I'm sorry about this.
I'm gonna tune out now. I'm gonna tune out.
Number 12.
I'm just gonna log off here.
Number 12 in 2011.
I know.
Was the guy that Greg Jennings professed that he was going to go and just be a great receiver for, and he was still going to make an impact leaving the Packers, playing with Aaron Rodgers, just like going to be playing with the number 12 pick in 2011, Christian Ponder.
Yep.
Mo Christian Ponder.
So I'll say this.
Christian.
I lost sleep that night because oh my gosh, like they really needed a quarterback, and they just reached so bad, and like he's like maybe a second rounder, third rounder to consider, but not him. I just so the good thing is that he married up really well. I mean you got to give him that, but outside of that, he had one decent year when obviously Adrian Peterson broke records and was MVP, because any quarterback can look good with that, but that was really about it. And it is really it was a sad day in my life. Thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, so we're through 2011.
Sorry, Mo.
I got a question for Browner, because he's been a little too quiet. We're through 2011. Browner, do any of those guys, or how many of those guys would you take and replace Aaron Rodgers with?
None.
Okay, thank you.
What about at the height of their career?
No
none.
Height. No height.
Not even Cam Newton. I mean, he's pretty good.
I mean, those guys were good. I mean, the ones that come to mind is maybe Cam. Phillip Rivers has been good. He just hasn't been on some great teams. But not Rodgers. I mean, even now, I think second year in LaFleur's offense, Rodgers is going to be pretty damn good.
I think he's going to light him up. As long as guys don't drop the freaking ball, and MVS won't drop it when he beats guys like 50 yards downfield. Because that makes a 50-yard drop that could be a touchdown makes a big difference at the end of the year with how many touchdowns and how many yards you got and completion percentage and all that stuff. Go ahead.
You know that Devontae Adams had 7 drops last year? And he missed 4 or 5 games?
Yeah.
Devontae Adams had 7 drops.
I know.
That's our best receiver. Yeah. That's not good. That's not good.
He's still pretty good, but I have to agree with Browner. I would take Aaron Rodgers over any of those guys, but I don't know about a second year in LaFleur's system. LaFleur has said that he wants the ball to come out on time, which is not something that Rodgers really does. He either throws the ball right away, or he holds the ball like 8 seconds and runs around like a crazy man and makes something happen, which is what makes him exciting. And
that's also what makes me yell at the TV and throw things.
Me too, Browner.
You know what?
Get rid of the ball.
I told you guys, this is what Aaron Rodgers experienced. He said, I've been playing awesome this whole time. I won an MVP. We won a Super Bowl. We did all this stuff. And then Brett Favre is welcomed back into the Packer family, and he comes to Lambeau, and then everybody still loves Brett Favre even more than me. And he's like, what can I do differently that would be more like Favre that would make, so people will like me as much as they like Favre, except I don't want to throw interception. I don't want the interception part, but I want all the other stuff. So he's like, I'll run around and do some of these crazy things and flip the ball and make these wild plays and like, like drill it in there. Cause so to me, as I watch Rodgers after the early years of his career, because early years of his career, the Packers were playing a lot of zone concepts against them. Teams were not figuring out like, hey, we'll just man up and bump these guys and they can't really get open or beat us. Because in 2015, the Broncos exposed that, and then it changed everything for the Packers offense, the McCarthy offense. We all remember that if we're Packers fans. But before that point,
they no longer had Greg Jennings and Don Driver.
Right.
Two guys that could get open. They could get open.
You got JJ, who wasn't fast, but would go up and attack the ball. You give him credit for that. He dropped the easy ones, but catch the hard ones. And then you had, Jordy, who's reliable, and Randall Cobb, who's short, and whatever, and all this stuff. Anyway, point is, the Packers, the offense was clicking smooth, and Rodgers was like, okay, boom, I'm rifling this stuff out. We're doing good. Then he sees all that stuff, and he's like, Favre, he used to run around a little bit. He used to spin his back. Remember how he'd run like 20 yards back and then turn around, and you're like, don't turn your back to all these guys. You're not that fast. And what the hell are you doing? And then he'd get out of there and then, zip it down to somebody or whatever. He's figuring I can do all that stuff. And so to me, after the first handful of years of Rodgers' career, he is like Favre without the interceptions. That's it.
I have a feeling he's trying to be completely different from Favre in any way he can possibly can.
I don't think so. He's like Favre because he gives you all the exciting plays and he makes you yell and you're like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell? And then you're like, oh, yes, that's a great play. Favre did that all the time. That's what he's thinking, man. In somewhere, even if it's subconscious, that's what's going on. All right, here we got some more guys to get to. Ready for these guys? Now, 2012 brings us some talented guys, but were they really worth it? Number 1 overall pick, the sure thing quarterback in the last 20 years, Andrew Luck. He's a solid quarterback. Was he great? And then he had a shorter career. So I'm not.
You have to want to play. You have to want to play. And some people, Andrew Luck had the talent, but he didn't. Okay, not want, but he didn't need to play. And he was like, "Hey, I don't want to get hurt. I get it."
And he had a garbage line for, the first handful of years too. They were awful, but.
And a terrible neck beard. I mean, you can't discount the neck beard.
Listen, he had to hide it. He had no chin. He had no chin and no jawline. He doesn't have the Haifman chin and jawline.
Right. Well,
so he had to have the neck beard to cover that up.
That's not a good solution in my book, but I understand. I just grow a whole beard then, just not just a neck beard. But
you don't understand. His jowls went from his chin all the way to his Adam's apple. He had to have the neck beard because he was all neck. It's not his fault. It's genetics, Mo. Come on.
Oh, God.
He also complimented every guy that ever hit him.
Yeah,
ever seen those videos where
yeah.
Hey, nice hit, man.
Hey, thanks for taking my leg off. Nice going.
All right, number 2.
I can't see colors anymore, but maybe it'll come back.
Number 2 that year was RG3, who's still playing in the league now. But
Kirk Cousins is still playing, and he's starting.
He was
drafted
Cousins
on the same team,
but he was a third rounder, right? Third rounder, something like that.
I don't know, somewhere in there.
All right, RG3 was number 2. Number 8 that year was Ryan Tannehill, who threw 7 passes in their win. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, he's playing.
He's the guy now. He's the guy
playing.
now.
Do you want to?
Let's just backpedal a second to RG3. I mean, if he doesn't tear up his knee, he was tearing up the league, right? I mean, he was in a lot of ways, talent-wise, Michael Vick-like. I mean, kind of a different version of Cam Newton with just how elite his speed was. Like he was such a crazy dual threat, and he wasn't the same after that injury. So, but who knows? What happens if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt really badly early in his career? Is he the same guy? I mean, if he's not as mobile as he is now, tears up his knee and can't move, it's hard to speculate with some of the injuries. But I mean, people were raving about RG3 before he got hurt.
I think that's what frustrates a lot of us about Rodgers is in in 14 when he had the calf injury and couldn't run and couldn't move. He proved, and even in 18, especially again in the game, the comeback against the Bears when he was hobbling around, he proved he can tear defenses apart from the pocket.
Yep.
And he doesn't have to do all
Better.
that stuff.
He's better from the pocket.
But so that's the difference to me. Like, okay, if he was limited physically, even though he wouldn't like to play that way because he prefers to run around a little more. I don't know why you want to run that much. I don't like running personally, you know.
Browner does. He's always on Facebook saying, he's like, go to this place in Eau Claire and follow this trail in Eau Claire. Something, I don't know.
I think he's walking. I think he's walking.
He's doing something. He's going all over Eau Claire. He's like, every time I see Facebook, Browner's like, hey, everybody, I'm going to walk over here and I'm running over here. And I'm like, stay in your house, Browner. Quit running around. I'm too fat. I can't even walk down the stairs half the time. I sure can't get up them. This guy's walking all over town.
You have to wait a minute. You have split stairs. You only have to go down half a flight to get out your house. Just
don't tell everybody that.
Jesus.
Browner, what is that stuff about anyways, by the way? What's all that walking around? You're always Eau Claire.
Quick side note, me and a couple friends created a fundraising event for the city of Eau Claire. It's basically a scavenger hunt around Eau Claire, and it helps support local businesses. All couple businesses in town are our sponsors, and they provided money to buy gift cards and merchandise from local businesses. And every Thursday we release 2 routes, and people can run, walk, or bike them, and they look for trivia and close-up selfie clues along the path. And if they find them, they can go into a drawing to win local business prizes. And each week that they participate, they donate to a local charity in town. So it was just kind of the reason I'm promoting it so much is I'm one of the organizers, and we're just trying to share with people to get out there and learn a little bit about Eau Claire, get some exercise, and support local. So.
I love all that. I love all that. But I have a more pressing question, which is Browner. You've been delivering donuts as well. I'm more interested in that than running, walking. Running, walking, and biking.
You can drive 2 hours to Rochester and drop off some donuts. Come on.
I'm still waiting for my donuts, but I see you delivering them all the time. What's up with that? Tell us about the donuts, because I like that more than running or walking or biking.
Yeah, me too.
Well, that started, I copied a friend on that early in the old stay-at-home order, but there's a business out of Menominee, Wisconsin called Donut Sam's. The couple has a child with Down syndrome named Sam. And he likes donuts, but is also looking for places as a special needs student for work opportunities. So they opened up a donut shop, and their donuts are really good, but they all percent of their proceeds get donated to like Special Olympics and charities, but they also employ many special needs students. So every Friday, my son Elijah and I, we drive up to Menominee, we pick up 4 or 5 boxes of donuts, and we deliver them to friends of ours around the Eau Claire area, just as kind of a fun stay-at-home treat and support a good local business.
Gosh, dang it, Browner. You're way too good of a guy. You're making me look really bad. I don't even leave my house. I don't even do anything for anybody.
All right.
You're doing all this stuff.
That's awesome.
It really is.
I was really curious about that. I mean, I liked the other stuff that you were doing, but the donuts really were more interesting to me.
Yeah,
I'd be honest about that.
Yeah.
Plus, anyway, going back to my original point is the running. I don't like running. I don't know why Aaron Rodgers likes to run around so much. It would make me tired. I'd be like, why don't I just take a couple steps back and throw the ball? But anyway, that's beside the point.
I was going to say something real quick before we got sidetracked by that. I think that's LaFleur's point too. He wants Rodgers to deliver it on point, because I think he sees from old tape and probably in practice that Rodgers can take a 2-3 step drop and be the best in the league at delivering it on point. But I don't know. I think Rodgers late in his career doesn't trust the guys around him, and he thinks he's got to go to Devontae or other guys. And he's kind of got this preset idea in his head, which sounds crazy for some veteran quarterback. But I think LaFleur wants to get him confident and say, trust this system and deliver it on point, because you will be the best in the league.
Let's hope that's the case. I mean, if Jared Goff can be successful, and
you can hope that's not the case, but yeah.
Hey, Mo, shut up.
Hey, wait a minute.
You invited me.
No, actually I did. Ben.
That's what I said. I was talking
okay.
To you.
Okay. 2012, The Ringer, the last one, The last guy selected
Oh, we're still doing that yet.
in the first round. I gotta finish this. I spent a lot of time handwriting all this garbage, dude.
I know. Okay.
You're gonna like this
Keep
guy.
going.
He was 45 years old coming out of college. Number 22 that year, Brandon Whedon.
He's 45.
No, he was like, but he was like 28. Yeah, he's old as hell. Old as hell.
Browns.
That was Mike Holmgren did that draft. That was when
he?
he was at the Browns. The first year he was at the Browns. Yeah.
Yeah, he was sabotaging the Browns.
He was the president of the Browns. I
Yeah.
don't know what he has against the Browns, but he
All
really
right.
set them up.
2013. I think this was a Raider pick again. EJ Manuel was the only quarterback selected in the first round, number 16. No, he was a Bills. He was
That's
the
the Bills. The Bills are on here like 7 times.
But I think he
Yeah.
played with the Raiders after, I think. Or is he on the Raiders right now? I can't
He's on the
remember.
Raiders now. Or he was. He was on there for a while, yeah. Or something.
They've been
That's
trying
what-
for
I don't know.
20 years to find a replacement for Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
The Bills.
20.
At least they got a good safety in
25.
Micah
I think
Hyde.
I think they think they
years.
have him right now, Josh Allen. They think they like Josh Allen.
They
Could
like
be all
him.
right.
Micah Hyde. You had to bring up Micah Hyde. I was
Micah
just
Hyde.
thinking about Micah Hyde.
I love Micah
My
Hyde.
guy.
He's really good.
What do you mean he's your guy? I had a handshake with the man. We high-fived. We built stuff. He swung my sledgehammer that I did not sanitize. I'm shrining that sledgehammer. No one else has been able to touch it, use it. I'm not cleaning the handle ever because Micah
Yeah.
Hyde destroyed
I
something
made-
with my
hey,
sledgehammer.
I made a goblin thief in Dungeons and Dragons, and I named him Micah Hyde. So I actually have a investment. I became Micah Hyde during some times playing D&D like a nerd. So take that.
I'd support both of that if he was still a Green Bay Packer, for crying out loud,
Oh,
which I wish he
Crowder,
was.
He's
this
so
is the
good.
problem. He's got the curse of the 33. Just like Doug Evans. Doug
Oh.
Evans was awesome. Packers wouldn't sign him back. They let him go in free agency to the Panthers. And then stupid William Henderson changed his number to 33. Can't stand William Henderson. Just stayed at number 30. That's besides the point. Then they got Micah Hyde. Micah Hyde was awesome. They should have kept him. They let him go in free agency like ding dongs. And now who's 33? The best guy on the team, the most explosive weapon on the team. And are they going to sign him back this year? I talked about it last week. No, because they're dumb. They're going to let Aaron Jones go, and Aaron Jones is going to go somewhere. Watch it be the freaking Vikings. And the Vikings are going to have Cook and freaking Jones, and they're going to be like, run up the gut. Aaron Jones all over the place. And everybody's going to be scared to death. And wherever Aaron Jones go, they're going to use him, and he's going to tear up the league. He's going to make Christian McCaffrey look like some punk. And the Packers are going to just lose him. Be stupid because of the curse of the 33. It's all because of Scottie Pippen.
Damn.
I rest my case. Back to your list.
That's right.
I don't know how that got back to Scottie Pippen, but he had me up until that point.
Scottie Pippen is 33.
All right.
I get it.
And
But
he's
Great, but he didn't curse the Packers.
Yeah, he did. He cursed all of Wisconsin because he was a bull and he screwed the Bucks.
William
And
Henderson.
he
cursed.
signed a contract for 9 years that was
Bucks
really low, and he got
sucked, though.
super mad, and he was, oh,
they did suck back then. They don't suck now, but they did back then.
They had Jay Humphreys, man.
It's terrible.
Yeah, the hump.
They had Jack Sigma, man.
Yeah, not good.
Larry Kristoviak. Who else
Yeah.
do they have in there?
Not
Larry
good.
Stoviak,
The
Blue
worst.
Edwards,
The
Blue
worst.
Edwards.
I have
Terry
cards.
Cummings.
I have some years where their star player was Fred Roberts. I think that was the
Yeah,
low point.
Fred,
That was the
Brad
low
Lohaus.
point.
Brad
Oh,
Lohaus.
Brad Lohaus. Yeah,
Yes.
it was bad, guys, for a while.
Okay,
It was
I
bad.
got off track again.
But now the Bucks have. Hopefully, they get to tear him up, do this crazy tournament thing, and get the first championship in forever.
Yeah,
That'd
that's
be
that's
awesome.
exciting. Oh
That'd
yeah,
be
the
fun.
T-Wolves in that tournament, Mo. I can't
No.
remember. Did they-
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. You're being very nice to me.
But
I'm sorry.
Giannis,
Not me.
hopefully mean mugs everybody. Okay, 2014, we had Blake Bortles as the number 3 pick. We had
Jaguars again.
Johnny Manziel as the number 22
Browns again.
The
pick.
Browns.
And then we had, I'm sorry, Mo, Teddy Bridgewater, number 32 pick.
Oh, Teddy Bridgewater. Hey Mo, what's your opinion on Teddy Bridgewater
you
going
said
to
he's
the
a nice
Panthers?
kid. He's a nice kid. Go ahead.
Everybody loved Teddy, and obviously a lot of potential. It was a freak accident, right? Potential is a scary word. I get it. I understand. Was looking like he's ready to be primed to be the starter that season. Has that freak injury just on a drop back in practice. I don't even know how that happens, but that's fine. So, played great in spot duty for the Saints last year. He won all 4 of the games. I think he started, if I'm remembering right. So I'm glad he's getting a chance because I want to see what he can do as a full-time starter. And I think they still speak highly of him here and all the coaching staff and stuff at the Vikings. Just I think he's a great guy. So he's the guy you want to root for. So I hope he does well. Obviously didn't work out here because I don't know, unlucky with that sort of stuff a lot. I don't know, but it is what it is. It's too bad. It's like I kind of alluded to earlier with injuries. You like to see how things would play out, but hopefully he does well with the chance he has now.
But then the biggest question I always had about Teddy Bridgewater was why did he wear two gloves? Why did he wear a glove on his throwing hand?
Mm-hmm.
That's then if your
throw without it.
If your quarterback wears a glove on his throwing hand, he's not going to be successful. That is.
Are you sure? Because Kurt Warner wore
That's
two
true.
gloves. And he's going to apparently be a first ballot Hall of Famer, right?
Not in the early years. That was when he was older and he had like the arthritic, because he was so old.
I don't think you can say that you can't play if you wear two gloves when Kurt Warner did it and was great. And there was a lot of that with, Teddy's pro day. And because he was supposed to go number 1 overall going into that draft, they do 10 million mock drafts or whatever, right? And then he doesn't wear a glove on his throwing hand in his pro day.
And he threw like crap.
Terrible pro day, right?
Yep.
And so, but then he puts the glove back on, and then the magic's back. So I don't know.
Wow, the magic of those 5-yard outs is back. Okay.
One thing I say about Teddy Bridgewater, I was always happy when he was a Viking because I knew we never had to cover deeper than 15 yards because he would never take a shot downfield ever, and he still doesn't. And that's the only thing I could say about Teddy Bridgewater. He never took shots. He was too afraid to throw the ball downfield.
Well, I think his deep accuracy was what the question was, right? And because he never really proved that he had it. And so that's a fair point.
All right. In 2015, it was Jameis Winston number 1 and Marcus Mariota number 2. Neither of them are with their original teams anymore. All right. Enough said.
Yeah, you can move on.
Quarterback world.
2016, Jared Goff number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Carson Wentz number 2. He's got some potential. He's
already on the backside of his career though, with all of his injuries and stuff. Like they're already talking. I mean, they draft somebody.
Yeah, they drafted Hurts.
Right. I mean,
I don't know.
Before that knee injury, like he made that, especially it was his first or second year to start.
Second year.
Amazing throws, amazing plays. I really like Carson Wentz, but hopefully he can overcome what he's endured so far. See.
And then number 26 was Paxton Lynch in 2016.
He's not even anywhere.
No. 2017 is Ben's, one of our favorite selections in the history of the Chicago Bears. Number 2.
Oh my gosh.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Turd Bisky.
The Bears just continue to line them up and say, Packers, don't worry about defending the passing game. Just stop our run and you can shut us down and hold us to 3 or 10 points.
Yeah.
Trubisky helps with that. Nick Foles. I mean, they're already on to Nick Foles, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But then in 2017, we got a couple of, this is where it couldn't be a 55. This is where it couldn't be 55 reasons. Because I think there are a total of 54 or 55 guys selected since 2000, between 2000 and 2019. Number 10 was Mahomes, which you'd probably make the change for. And number 12 was Watson, which I don't know if I'd make the change for it. He's got a lot of potential. Now, after I watch him throw at the Pro Bowl target thing, I would be like, hell no, I'm not making the change for these guys because they can't hit a target. But they have been pretty successful so far at playing football in the NFL.
Yeah, there's a cool video right now on YouTube I saw the other day. It's got Watson, and it's like, remember when Mike Daniels did the like behind the scenes thing with Brian Baldinger and what's his nuts, and he was talking about getting off the block and making tackles, doing all this crazy stuff. They did one with this year. I guess Devontae Adams is supposed to be on one of those in late June, but the first one that showed up I saw yesterday was Watson, and now Kurt Warner is doing it with Brian Baldinger. Jaworski's not on there anymore, but Watson he knows what's going on. The only thing I would say is he doesn't. There's a couple times where he's not really reading things and he makes decisions. Like even in this video, it shows him where he decided he was going to throw the ball someplace before the ball was even snapped because of a previous play. They ran the same play earlier in the game, and if he would have just read the coverage, he would have had a touchdown. And Kurt Warner asked him, "Well, why did you throw it here?" And he's like, "Well, the last time you ran it, Hopkins was wide open. So I wanted to go back to him because I figured he'd be open. And he was. He's open for a 12-yard gain. But if he would have looked at it a little bit better, the other guy was like 30 yards downfield with nobody on him. So who knows? But it was a nice video, and he looks pretty good. I don't know if I'd take him over Rodgers. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't take him over Rodgers.
Side note, in 2018, the comp for Jordan Love, Deshaun Kaiser was pick number 52 that year, just so you know. All right. 2018, we got some quarterbacks that were drafted. Baker Mayfield was number 1. Sam Darnold was number 3. Josh Allen was number 7. Josh Rosen was number 10.
Oh, Josh Rosen.
And Lamar Jackson, number 32.
Lamar Jackson.
Crazy athlete. They're using him right. Hopefully he can hang in there and not get injured.
I'm just glad the Packers,
he might be
the Packers
comparable
don't
to Tebow throwing the football.
He's not good at throwing.
Except he
threw a lot of touchdowns.
Afterburners. He's got afterburners up his butt compared to Tebow.
I know. He's amazing. He's amazing. I struggle to watch him throw a football yet. I mean,
it's not good.
But the other guys, Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, those are all no. And then 2019, granted they haven't played a lot yet, but Kyler Murray was number 1, Daniel Jones was number 6, and Dwayne Haskins number 15.
Yeah.
Any of those guys making you tingle? Not me.
Whoa.
It's a little early for Kyler Murray, but he did pretty good things in a rookie year. But
that's true. I mean, I'm sure at 5'8", he'll be able to play a long time in the league, and it'll be fine.
Booty flakes.
I mean, he's athletic, and maybe whatever, but it does limit you. Shorter guys, it does limit you. You know, like you got to have tall receivers then, right? Because it was just the trajectory of the ball. If you're going to throw those short crossing patterns and make those part of your offense, unless you got a big window, which oftentimes you can't get, you know, in a lot of traffic with the defensive line and stuff, you got to be able to throw over those guys or at least find a window, and it's much easier to get those batted. So I didn't check his batted ball rate for last year, but I would assume he has struggled. That's why I'm actually an advocate for the Packers having tall receivers like they have now versus having a short receiver, because Aaron Rodgers is only 6'1"-ish, 6'2", and he's not Tom Brady. That's why Tom Brady can have Julian Edelman and throw down to him and have short guys because he'll throw down to him. Rodgers needs to throw up or kind of level across to get over the line. So to throw those short patterns, he's got to have a taller guy. He can't. It's hard to throw to a guy like Randall Cobb or throw to a guy that's like they're talking about trying to get, you know, a short slot receiver. I didn't love it for them. I didn't love it because of that reason.
How tall is Hopkins? Because that's who they got to come to Arizona now.
He's about 6'1", 6 feet, 6'1". He's not too tall, but he's not short. Devontae Adams-ish height.
Well, there's one guy on your list that I would draft now to maybe replace Rodgers in 1 to 2 years. All
right, who do you got?
To me, it would be Mahomes.
Mahomes is the only one.
Just because of his upside that we've seen right now.
Yeah, well, granted, that one I'll give you.
But that would be only if like he was in the situation that Love is in, that I draft Mahomes and he sits behind Rodgers for 2 years and either they trade him or get rid of him. But nobody else you named, I would do that for right now.
Mo, anybody? How many on the list would you go for?
For sure. I think there's, so here's the thing. The point of your argument, right, is not trying to upgrade above Aaron Rodgers, right? Because I think it's pretty clear that he's a generational quarterback, right? He's not someone that you're gonna. There's like he's in the Peyton Manning realm of like, you know, you don't have those guys available each year or even each decade, right? So, but you're looking at quarterbacks getting older, and if you knew you had guys like a Pat Mahomes, like a Deshaun Watson, you know, this is for you, Ben, like a Ben Roethlisberger, or like that you knew was going to be a good player. I know I lost Ben with that last one. I just did it just to piss him off. So, but if you had this guaranteed entity that you knew you'd be able to take, knowing that you're going to need to replace him eventually, I mean, would you take Pat Mahomes if you knew Pat Mahomes was Pat Mahomes, regardless of your quarterback situation? Yes, you would, right? Why wouldn't you? But the thing is that they don't know what Jordan Love is yet, right? So, but to say that, yeah, there's a lot of guys I would draft if I knew that's what they were going to turn into. Even like a Phillip Rivers, who's a high quality, good quarterback. He's not better than Aaron Rodgers, but if I knew he's going to be that good of a quarterback, yeah, I'd take him in the first round because he's going to be good. Whether you use that as trade capital or as a successor or whatever, it's fine. The problem is, and there's a couple flaws with this, your 47 to 52 reasons. Was that the range? I think that was right.
Mhm.
So there's a couple of flaws with the argument. I like the argument, just to clarify, but I think the flaw is that you have you have the history of what GMs do in this league, right? Is that they take quarterbacks and they hitch their wagon to them and they say, well, this is my guy, let's see if it works. And you see them get the chance, right? Or they don't, right? So you think about this, like with Jordan Love, how are you going to know if he's any good or not with Aaron Rodgers still here? You won't know, because he can be Mr. August, but Packers have already had Mr. August, right? They had Matt Hasselbeck, they had Doug Peterson, they've had a couple Mr. August, right? I mean, great players. I'll even say they're great players that never got a chance, right? Until Matt Hasselbeck
Never got a chance.
Just let me finish, Ben.
Okay.
Listen to me, mister.
I said Matt Hasselbeck too soon. So
you cannot. Hold on.
Matter of fact, I was going to say something. I was going to say something when you said 2012, the Vikings drafted a certain Christian Ponder. That same year, there was a free agent quarterback available that could have been easily picked up by the Vikings. It would have led them to a freaking Super Bowl because they had everything else they needed. All they needed was the quarterback. They chose to draft a crappy quarterback instead of picking up Matt Hasselbeck, a great quarterback who would have led your stupid Vikings to the gosh dang Super Bowl and win the dang thing.
I agree.
Because they're too stupid. And then Hasselbeck had to go sit behind freaking Andrew Luck for the rest of his career.
And be funny.
That's bullcrap.
He's a good guy and he's funny.
So
don't you ever talk bad about Matt Hasselbeck.
I'm not talking bad. I wasn't talking bad. I said
you just compared his career to Doug Peterson.
What I said was
Doug Peterson.
What I said was
Doug Peterson was a third string quarterback on the Packers.
You love Doug Peterson
as a coach.
You loved him as a player too. You did. You thought he should start over Favre. You thought he should start over Favre.
No,
you said it all the time.
That was one of the few that we didn't think.
Not Doug Peterson.
Okay.
Listen,
my point is this:
Mark Brunell, Aaron Brooks, Matt Hasselbeck. Yes, all those three guys were better.
We're good starters. They could have been. They were good.
Brett Favre.
They're good players. They're all good players.
My point is that
not Ty Detmer.
No. I love Ty Detmer in college.
Not Doug Peterson.
My point is that Matt Hasselbeck never got a chance with the Packers, right?
Right. Well, yeah, because they're dumb.
But now, so Matt Hasselbeck got his chance with other teams, played great for Seattle, right? Matt Flynn.
We want the ball and we're going to win.
Yeah.
Browner.
Matt Flynn.
He said we want the ball. We're going to score. Is what.
Oh, sorry.
Matt Flynn for the Packers, who had some good preseason games. He had a couple of good spot starts, and that got him this huge contract that then he never started again and was never any good. The problem is that he was,
because he got back to the Packers and they played him again, and he played against Dallas and he played great.
Okay, so my point is that you're not going to know really how good Jordan Love is outside of preseason games, which obviously aren't the same, and in practice, because he's never going to get to play while Aaron Rodgers is still here. So there's my concern is that, like other GMs and coaches is that eventually we got to give my guy, the one that I chose, the one that I hitched my, coaching career, at least at this organization with, I have to give him my chance on my team that I'm trying to run. The only way to do that is to get Aaron Rodgers out. Right. So because you can't judge it on preseason games. Look at like a Rob Johnson, right? Because going back a little ways, he had one really great game with Jacksonville. Then the Bills signed him his big contract, a ton of talent, right? Very, Jordan Love-esque in that way. But they called him Robo-Sack because he got in a real game. He couldn't read a defense. He held the ball too long. So the problem is it's a risk, right? But I think eventually they're going to say, we have to see what we got. And you don't take first round quarterbacks just to what happened with Rodgers behind Favre was kind of I think you can agree at this day and age, very unusual. And I think Jason made a good point in when you guys had your reaction show. Yes, Jason, you had a good point. Is that you're losing
First time.
Best case scenario, Jordan Love turns into what a Pat Mahomes like player, right? And then great. So you got Pat Mahomes. Awesome. Best case scenario, right? Well, you're not going to play him until like year 4, which is kind of what you did with Rodgers. But in this day and age with the salary cap, you lose the whole benefit of what the Chiefs currently have with the real Pat Mahomes, right? You have him on a cheap contract, and now you got to pay him a ton. And how are you going to build a team around it, right? So that's the best case scenario, which would still be good, make no doubt. But if it's not, then you just wasted a pick.
I mean, just ask the Seahawks how that worked out. You know, when Wilson was cheap, right. Great. And then once he got expensive, then I mean, we played the Seahawks in the playoffs last year. All they had was Russell Wilson. They didn't have Jack squat else on their team.
They
almost came back and beat us.
They got their whole defense. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here, as any Browner, Jason, have you guys watched any of the documentaries, the 100 Years of the Packers documentaries I've been talking about?
I was highly disappointed by the most recent.
The last one was pathetic. Yeah, it was.
I was like, what the hell is this?
There's very interesting because when they talked about Aaron Rodgers being drafted, they had an interview with Brian Gutekunst on there, and he was just gushing over the fact that Ted Thompson knew what he needed and took the chance, and he didn't let other people's decisions, or he knew that it was going to be a controversial pick, and he did it anyway because he believed he needed to do that for the team. That was Gutekunst's quote. Now, I don't know when that interview took place, but whenever it did, it must have put something in Goody's mind to say, I need to do this. Ron Wolf, when he was a general manager, he traded and got Favre. Ted Thompson, he became a general manager and he drafted Aaron Rodgers. Now I'm the general manager for 2 years and I still don't have my quarterback that I believe in, that I'm going to make happen. Yeah. And he had this guy, picked him out, and he talked about him for weeks. And mom and dad tried to tell us that the Green Bay press is telling them that they're going to take Love. And we all said, that's the dumbest thing we ever heard. They're never going to do that. But Goody, he grabbed him. He went up and took him. And now he's connected to this guy.
Oh, that's all that was left on the board when it got there.
Yeah.
Liar!
But according to Jason, it's old man dude's fault, right?
It is. It is. But okay, so Eric, you I understand all your things you said, even though it took a long time to say them, which I'm guilty of sometimes too.
I'm sorry.
But the point is, I'm asking any of these guys that you would bump Aaron Rodgers out of town before he's ready to be done playing, who's worth it? And to me, Browner says Pat Mahomes is the only one. I have check marks. This is why I said 53 to 47. This is my interpretation. For Mahomes and Watson, I would do it. And Lamar Jackson, I would do it. Just based on their talent, they're young. I would say, okay, fine. And then I have possible arguments for Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Big Ben.
No.
So that's why the range there. So it's kind of like, well, not Eli Manning. Sorry, I screwed up on that one. No, not Eli Manning. Not a Hall of Famer. Not a Hall of Famer, Browner.
This is what you should be pointing out. What your thing did. It's not about whether you would take those quarterbacks and draft them at whatever their points when they were rookies to draft and replace the Aaron Rodgers with them or whatever. That's not the point. The point is you've got 90% or more of the players you mentioned were quarterbacks that were drafted. And it's legit stats. These guys are not better than Aaron Rodgers in their entire careers. And you have Aaron Rodgers signed for 4 more years. And you take a first-round quarterback when there's proof in the pudding. Stats say that 90% of these quarterbacks, at least, probably more than 90%, are not even as good or even close to being as good as Aaron Rodgers. But you're going to take a flyer on a first-round quarterback when you got Aaron Rodgers for 4 more years instead of taking a player that can help you now. That's what you should be pointing out. That your stats that you just proved is the Packers took a flyer on a guy with a 90% chance to maybe be as good as Aaron Rodgers or in Gutekunst's close, he has a chance to be a pretty solid quarterback in the NFL. And they wasted a first-round pick on that. That is what you prove. That's dumb. And that's why it'll always be dumb.
It'll always be dumb. There's only
Doesn't
like
matter. All these guys. It's the percentages are right there. The stats are right there. You don't do it when you got the man. The only time you draft the quarterback in the first round is when you don't have anybody.
Yep, that's what all these other teams did forever.
Well,
Not a single one of those. Yeah, I mean, not a single one of those slaves. I'm sorry, Brown. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what continues to bug me about the pick is they desperately need help at D tackle and wide receiver. And in the whole draft, they didn't take somebody at either of those positions.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's what we were getting at in the video and when it happened. And that's why everybody's so mad. But, you know, we've been going for a way long time here. But what I'm saying is that's the stat that I got out of what you just went over. Nobody out of any of those picks on any of those teams drafted a quarterback in the first round when they have a Hall of Fame quarterback signed for 4 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the Packers, who had a guy who's been talking about retiring for 2 or 2.5 years before they took Aaron Rodgers, and he fell to them. So this was the most ridiculous thing anybody has ever seen in their lifetime as far as a fan of football. Because nobody else has a Hall of Fame quarterback signed for 4 years and drafts a quarterback in the first round. And much
Trades up
and gives up a 4th round pick to do it. That is what is insane and stupid, and why every fan of a Packer fan should be angry that their team is doing something so dumb. And all the Viking fans were cheerful like Mo was when it happened. It's bull malarkey sauce. Back to you.
But you should be. See, this is where the Packers are getting you here, because you should be really angry about that, but you should be happy and proud about the stance they just took about enough is enough and about racism. So we're conflicted. We're conflicted, Packer fans. But anyway, the overall examination here, there's only 15 guys out of 55 here. And one of those 15 is Aaron Rodgers. That were like consistent starters for their teams for at least more than one cycle of a contract. So you have a proven commodity. What the hell are you doing? That's the point. Okay. Well, anyway, hopefully that was fun. I know it took a long time to get through everything, and we've been on a while tonight. Thanks for everybody that hung with us. Thank everybody that checked out even part of it. Thanks to all you guys. Mo from Minnesota, Ben from Wisconsin, but residing in Minnesota. Sorry. Browner still hanging out in Eau Claire, delivering donuts. Damn, I wish I could get some of those donuts for myself, brother.
I should have never moved out of Eau Claire.
You could, no kidding. Then you could get some donuts.
They don't make donuts in Rochester.
Yes, they do.
Just kidding. I don't.
All right. Anyway, the point is, I appreciate you guys. I love you. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully we had some fun and a good time and talked about some nonsense for a while, because it takes us away from all the serious stuff. We'll get back at the good fight. Stay true to yourselves. Be safe. Be healthy. Human decency. You guys take care of yourselves. All right. We'll catch you again soon.